Energy vampires and psychic vampires, they're a part of our everyday life. Sometimes they're our own family members. But is it a mental health issue or a paranormal issue? Or can it be both? Listen and find out. Hey, this is Colleen with Speaking of Spirits, and today I've got my sidekick, Tim.
Woo!
And Katie.
Hello.
And Mark on the phone somewhere in Wyoming.
Yes, I'm in Burns, Wyoming, as we speak.
Where's Burns?
Burns is east of Cheyenne.
East of Cheyenne.
Over here, east of Cheyenne. It's almost into Nebraska. It's on the Nebraska side of Wyoming.
The ugly part of Wyoming.
It's east of Cheyenne.
It's all ugly. What are you talking
Well, no. Yellowstone part of it.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. You carve out Yellowstone and then it gets pretty flat. So,
A lot of sagebrush.
yeah.
Lots of sagebrush. And, yeah.
Truck drivers, as far as the eye can see.
I think Yellowstone was the first place I saw an armadillo.
They have armadillo there?
Yeah, they do. They all have armadillo.
Mine was
Yeah.
Texas.
Yeah, and then when I moved to Texas, I saw them
Are they
everywhere. But
everywhere?
Yellowstone was my first, armadillo.
That's after I got a picture with the dead armadillo. That's when they told me they carry leprosy. I was like, oh, great.
Tim's all curled up with his dead armadillo. Nice.
Nice kitty.
This cat feels weird, Bob. Okay. So in today's episode, we're talking about energy vampires. Have you been around one? Do you
Are
know
you one?
Are you one? I think all of us have experienced that dread of knowing somebody that you're going to have to deal with. Maybe I am it for somebody, I don't know, of an energy vampire. So, dun dun dun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what are we talking about? And it's that.
My sister.
Oh, we sent it out.
He did.
Already started
Yeah,
roasting.
That spiraling black hole of dealing with some people. And is it all a mental issue? Is it a narcissistic issue? Can it be a paranormal issue? I think a little bit of everything, but I think there's a paranormal issue to a lot of it that we haven't explored. What do you think, Mark?
Well, I've also heard them described as psychic vampires. And so that's the term I'm most familiar with. But it's pretty much the same thing. It's anybody who drains your energy above, normal interaction.
Yeah,
On purpose, do you think?
some of it.
You think
Yeah,
so?
some of it.
You think so?
Sometimes. It's interesting because you can break it down. Some of it is just people just don't know how they drain the energy out of other people.
Yeah.
Except they feel great afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I think there's probably a high level of narcissism with all of them.
I agree
Like,
with that a
There's,
lot.
they have those narcissistic tendencies to be, they're all about me. I do have friends that I engage with who, when you talk with them, it's never how you doing, how's so-and-so, how's your job, how it's all them the whole time you're together. And so, but that's narcissistic. So, but is there a paranormal side of that?
That's what I want to know about.
Yeah. So is there some kind of connection that they have? Could they have an attachment? Is there something sitting, you know how we have they always say the devil and the angel on your shoulders, right? Is there something there feeding that narcissistic tendency of all about them? And
That sounds narcissistic. They're able to blame something else.
well, maybe.
Oh.
And I think in a lot of psychotic behavior,
Yeah.
you know, that blame everything but you kind of tendencies where it's, well, I wouldn't be like this if you weren't like that. That kind of tendencies. But can it come from the aspect of having an attachment or having, maybe their abilities are so strong in the paranormal world, but they have never dealt with them. Can that be? Or they know they have paranormal, they're empaths or they're mediums or they have telepathy or something, and they're letting that drive that energy vampire, psychic vampire tendency. I mean,
All aboard.
yeah, right?
Isn't there something in voodoo
Yeah.
that allows for that?
Voodoo definitely.
Like taking the energy from somebody else?
Yes.
Or
Yes, in voodoo that you can draw within that energy and manifest it for yourself or send it out. And they do that a lot. And I think also Santeria religion, or I don't know if you'd call it a religion, but it's definitely a practice. Yeah. They take and they send. And when they send, it's not good because we've dealt with it here.
here, right?
Yes. And I think, so what are we talking about? And it's somebody who completely drains you, leaves you exhausted. And it's not, right? So it's people who are either conscious or unconscious, feed on your vital or emotional energy.
It's so spooky.
So, yeah, they're drawing upon all of your strength, and it can be really difficult to be around them. First off, especially when you become aware. For a while, you get drawn in. You get drawn into it because they're so good.
like a fly to honey.
Exactly, they're so good at drawing you in. My ex was this, and yeah, in so many ways, right? So they draw you in, and then they start feeding on you, and until you're used up, and then there's nothing left. So, but is that conscious or unconscious or a little of both? I don't know.
I think in some.
Come on, dealt with kinds.
I'm sorry, Mark.
Well, they are both conscious and unconscious, and I've dealt with both of them. I
Yeah.
know people that do it and know it, and people who do it and know full well what they are doing.
So I put a lot of thought into this recently, and I came up with Timisms.
Love Tim.
So I think there's empathy, and there's narcissism, and I think there's toxic narcissism, and there's toxic empathy. And I think that there's a yin and a yang, and
Yeah.
both can go so far each way. Know what I mean? Kind of like the political system, but I won't bring them into this.
Gross.
And I think that there's a lot of factors that you can throw in, but I almost think you have to have a conscious decision to step over wherever that line is.
Yeah.
So,
Some point.
yeah.
A list of,
Go ahead.
partial list of I'm going to say most of these, not all of them, but most of these do not know the conscious psychic vampires, energy vampires. Narcissistic, of course, if it's all about me, everything is about me. victims, people who are always, they will draw you in and take your energy because life is just really always making victim. I think we all know somebody like that.
Yeah.
It's like survival.
Energy vampire, people who love to control, have to control others. You know, we all know somebody who can fall asleep and leave their mouth running. You know, and never be quiet. Yeah. And drama queen, psychic vampires. Everything, overreaction to everything. You know, so this is just, you know, list some of the types of vampires. But I think a lot of these are more mental health issues.
Yeah.
You know, they are, and a lot of these I don't think would possibly with the controlling. I think the controlling may know exactly what they're doing. But a lot of these may not even know that the thing the psychic energy training.
So where do you draw the line between, where do you draw that line between somebody who's doing this because they're a narcissist or a control freak or whatever, and somebody, how do you make that determination between somebody who's doing that and somebody who might have an attachment who's driving it?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
You have any idea, Mark?
Oh, now that's a good question. That's a good attachment. If they have an attachment that's driving, I don't know if that's how an attachment would work, though. An attachment would, well, excuse me while I think out loud here for a minute and work this through. Because the attachment usually just takes the energy from the host.
Yeah, but can't an attachment drive the host?
How do you mean drive? Like control it?
Yeah, well, like control the emotions. Let's say that you have somebody who is maybe psychically weak, but they have an ability, so they have allowed something to come through the door, and that something is a whole lot stronger emotionally than the host. Can't that attachment, and I think we've seen this in a couple of cases, can't that attachment drive the host, drive their feelings, like make them stronger, make them
Like influence.
Yeah, like the person doesn't understand why all of a sudden they're doing what they're doing, but they're doing it and they don't seem to have any control over it. It's almost like
Sounds like the human condition.
well, yeah, right, but it's like somebody who is possessed in a sense because they have the attachment driving their actions, or
It's like out of their character and they know it's
yeah,
not.
yeah, exactly, out of their character. I think sometimes we run across these people who we consider energy vampires, but they really are truly innocent of their behavior, and they would never. This is if you met them as they are right now as the energy vampire, you'd be like, oh shit, I don't want anything to do with you. But if you knew them before the attachment came through the door, you're like, what the heck is going on with them? I don't.
So how do they?
Okay, I see what you're going. Go back to your original question. It's a matter of semantics. I got hung up on the word drive. The attachment can drive them. I'd say more like it could influence them. But I can see that because if you've got an attachment who's taking all the energy out of somebody and causing that person to have just a real bad run of bad luck, well, yes, the person could start thinking they're the victim. And I can see how that could happen.
I mean, they would
if
be
that
forced. It's
makes
like
sense.
survival mode.
So you're saying like manipulate to a point of desperation.
Yeah, I'd say more like influence. I'm going to work with it, but I'd say more like influence. But, okay, yeah, I could see that. You know, where the attachment would, like, a person.
Sorry,
They
we're
just started making all kinds of mistakes, so they started thinking that they're a victim, you know, because everything went wrong.
yeah.
So I could see something like that occurring.
I think I think in our society that drugs drive a huge portion of this, right? Somebody becomes addict and the addiction drives their personality at that point, right? Becomes the driver of the train and the addict is along for the ride. But I think even if there's no drugs involved, and I have taken so many of these phone calls from people where I don't feel like they're totally in control of what's happening to them, that there's something else driving that train, but I don't think it's drugs.
Yeah.
But they would never admit to it. I think the attachment or whatever is going on paranormally in their life is so strong. And they may have created it. They've created the situation 9 times out of 10. They've created the situation that has gotten so far out of hand that they are no longer in control. But trying to deal with that, because then it becomes, where do you separate that from a mental health issue?
Right.
You know, and
Well, I was going to say, I'm going to stir the hornet's nest here, and maybe we'll go down this rabbit hole at a later date. But that's very possible, but it doesn't have to be illegal drugs.
right.
The pharmaceutical drugs can really jack people up as well.
Oh yeah.
They're worse, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
'Cause they're
you
with the
can get
doctor's
somebody
blessing.
and they know we don't do any drugs at all, but their medicine cabinet is
Right.
Well, and that's because, well, lots of reasons. But if they go to any type of person practicing,
Right.
the person practicing is made to find a solution. And those solutions are always in the form of medications.
Right.
yeah. Take this pill.
Yeah.
Yeah, just recently I twisted my ankle real hard, and the first thing you wanted to give me was hydrocodone. Yep. How many do you want? I said none. I'm like, the pain is there for a reason to keep me off of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And-
That's your
and-
body functioning.
Yeah, so give me the boot and let me deal with it. And I'll hobble around in a boot for a few weeks until I can walk on it gingerly enough, because I don't want it. You know, it's like, it's the first thing they do. Let's give you a boot and give you some drugs and send you on your way. Just tell me, did I break it? No? Okay, I can deal with that.
Yeah.
Let me go home
It'll
and
be
I'll just
fine.
rest it. I'll be fine. Just give me, you know. But that's the day and age we live in. And but so okay, so let's take the drug component out of it. Let's take normal Sally, who doesn't have any mental health issues, and she's not psychotic. Nothing's going on in her life, but she starts screwing around in the paranormal stuff she doesn't understand with, whether it's, I don't know,
She buys the secondhand tarot cards.
tarot cards or a Ouija board or something that she doesn't understand. And she starts messing around with all of
Oh,
her
boy.
friends on a Saturday night, and they
Woo.
start drawing in attachments, things that they don't understand.
Spooky.
Right. So is the board in itself like an Ouija board? Is that we have had these conversations before? Is it in itself evil? No. It's a tool. But people don't know how to use them. And they're a Saturday night board game, and it's no big deal. So maybe somebody in that little circle of Sally's friends is very strong psychically, so she starts bringing in something through the door that they don't know about. And then all of a sudden, Sally's personality changes. She becomes this energy vampire. Sally was never like this before, but now she is. So, yeah. So then the friends are starting to notice a little bit something different going on there with Sally, but we don't know how to help her. So then you know, Sally, maybe her friends start trying to figure out how to help her or whatever. The first thing that the doctors do is medicate her, because it's a mental health issue. She's depressed, she's got anxiety, she's got something, but it could be nothing to do with mental health. It's the attachment that came through the door and said, ooh, Sally, there she is. She's weak, and we can draw on that. That's what's scary to me, is that there could be a lot of this out there that are diagnosed as mental health issues, and I think they become mental health issues.
Yeah, because I feel like as a sane person dealing with that, like you're gonna think it's a mental health issue, because how do you normalize that in your brain?
Right. And we don't have a medical community who can deal with anything outside the normal, that paranormal
we
aspect.
can see.
They're not allowed to.
No, they're not. They're not.
In the scenario you presented, if they're using something and bringing something in, Sally might start doing weird stuff, but I've never heard of psychic vampire being one of the weird things.
So, do you think that the psychic vampire is truly not an attachment? Would never be attachment?
To the ones that I talk to that I know that are, what they do is put an attachment. It is, I don't know, they like a better term, psychic ability. That I have talked to that do openly know what they do and admit what they are doing.
Oh, they're admitting. They're
Was
admitting.
They're doing it
caused
purposely.
these are the ones that I know that openly know. It was caused by cash. It's just what they do.
It's what they do. Sorry, we're having a
Like
little bit of
through-
a connection issue with you, Mark, so we're catching a few, not catching every word. But, so it's what they do,
Like
and they're
through a
knowingly
ritual?
doing it.
I think that's the line.
Yes.
Like, there has to be a line of like education, consciousness, and accountability. And like, if all of those things are there on that line, you can't blame that on anything else.
Right.
So I think it's a self-aware issue. If you do it and you're not self-aware of it, but if you do and you are, that's mean.
Well, it is mean. It is mean, because you're drawing on everybody around you. But I'm wondering how many are out there who...
I get what you're saying. Like, you have this attachment that's draining your energy. And as a result, you are lashing out or doing things almost in a survivalist mode.
Yeah, I'm
You
wondering.
have no energy. You are like down. You probably feel really crappy. You don't know what's going on. And as a result, you almost become the energy vampire, because you're probably like acting out or having, like toxic behaviors, not handling things well, going down like self-destruction. Like,
Yeah, I wonder.
you know what I'm saying? So I feel
Yeah.
like that's a reaction to you not having your energy.
Yeah.
Because there's an energy vampire.
I mean,
sucking all of it.
there are a lot of different types of these energy vampires that Mark brought up, right? There's the narcissist, there's the drama queen,
Yeah.
there's all of these different types of these vampires out there that take from everybody around them, and they're toxic people to be around. They are. And I think when you find, if you figure them out, cut them out. I mean, that's all you can do.
Right.
Because they'll drag you down. But I think too that if you've known somebody for a long time and you weed out the fact they're not an addict or whatever, there's not an influence that you can figure out, then you got to wonder what's driving this.
So what do you do at that point? Like,
I
if
don't
you
know.
got a call
Yeah.
and you had gone on a walkthrough and you met these people and you determined,
you can
like,
feel
what would
them
you do?
though. You can feel them. So we've had a number of cases where we've gone through walkthroughs and you're just like, woo, your guard's up, because you just know that this is not a good scenario. They're driving this, and we can't help.
Oh shit.
You can't help them. Yeah, I don't know. As a team, we collectively decide not to take those cases. I'll put it out there. Like, this is what's going on, but this is my feeling, and what do you guys think? But, boy, they're hard. You get roped into their drama really, really quick.
Yeah.
Tim knows. You get roped into the drama of these people so fast that you're looking for an exit door, and sometimes you can't find one. And they don't leave you alone. Yeah.
And do you think they're fully convinced that it's like something paranormal, or do you think they just like that energy high?
I think it's the energy high they're looking for. Yeah.
Cool.
And I think wasn't that toxic word that I just came up with. Some people I think like it.
Yeah. They're an addict to the drama around them. Yeah. And some people I think thrive in conflict.
Yeah.
Like
which
they
is
create
sad.
as much as they can get.
Mm-hmm.
Because it drives whatever feeling of importance that they have. You know?
Yeah.
So, but on the paranormal part of it, I've always, when I'm dealing with people like this and they call, you can feel it immediately. You can feel it. I swear to God, you can feel the energy through the phone. And you're breathing through it, and you're like, okay, at what point do I cut them off? Because this is not going to be good for anybody involved in the team. And not to discount maybe anything that's going on paranormally, but
Right.
I gotta always wonder, is the paranormal driving their behavior, or
Or
are they driving the
it?
paranormal?
100%.
Yeah, and we've had a number of clients over a number of years that they're the reasons why they have paranormal activity. It's not, paranormal is there, they're causing it. And
That's not a fun conversation to have either.
no, they don't want to hear that. They want to make you, sometimes they want you to make it all better, and you're like, but we can't. Because you're the problem.
It's you.
It's not me, it's you. That conversation.
Yeah, you couldn't pay me enough. I'm good, thanks.
Yeah, it's really a difficult scenario. So I think most of us have come across these people.
Mm-hmm.
I think almost everybody has met somebody in their life who's would be classified as this energy or psychic vampire. But then you have to, how do you unwrap your life from them?
It's a great question. And once someone figures it out, they really need to let me know.
I have to do the
Well-
candle thing.
The candle thing?
Yeah, the little, what is it called?
I don't know. You're looking at me like I should know.
You should know. I know everything.
No, I don't. What?
Yes, where you tie the candles together.
Oh, the binding.
Binding, yeah.
Yeah,
And
you
then
can do ceremonies where you can unbind. It's a little harder to do when they're family. But
set the whole place on fire.
I have learned, because I'm old enough now, that I've learned that I walk away. I cut them
That's
out.
really taking just space and time between you and them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What Mark
What
said.
did you just say, Mark? Because you're cutting out.
What Mark said.
Oh, I'm sorry. You just put space and time between you and them.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
nothing you can do.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, when it's family, it's a whole different scenario. I don't know how you do that. Although I have one family member left, and they're cut because you have to separate yourself from what drives. If they're stressing you out to the point where it's unhealthy for you, then you have to cut them out.
Yeah.
And there are different ceremonies that you can do to, bind them with their mistakes and let you cut. There's cord cutting ceremonies that you can do that releases them from you and let them go on their way. And there's a lot of different ceremonies out there that you can do to help you through that. It's hard to do. It's really, really hard to do, and you have to have a lot of resolve. It's tough. But I don't know, when you bring along, it's either the mental health or the paranormal aspect of it. That's where, boy, that's tough. That's tough. And that's like having somebody who, they're schizophrenic or medium or both.
Or I was going to say both.
Yes. And that's like, wow. Talk about a heavy road to hoe for those people, because they're no one. He was schizophrenic. He is schizophrenic, and he's a medium.
That's hard.
And yeah, so schizophrenia, right? If you study schizophrenia, I'm the only in the amount of reading that I've done on it. Its onset is usually in the late teen years. And there's an actual physical change to the brain that they can see on an MRI. And So schizophrenic is a real thing. It's a physical thing. It manifests in the brain, and it can be studied and seen diagnostically, right? But what happens when they're also a medium?
Exactly.
And that is like, wow. So they're put on antipsychotics to help them with
Hallucinations.
the hallucinations, but the hallucinations may not, if they're not ever been, I'm wondering how many people out there who have never had the diagnostic tool, like have they ever had the MRI of their brain done? And maybe they're not really schizophrenic. They're just like an incredibly powerful medium.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
So now they're put on all this antipsychotic medication, and there's really nothing wrong with them, other than the fact they don't know how to control their medium abilities. Yeah. But then you can have schizophrenics who really are mediums.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
That would be amazing to try to document, like
Yeah.
a schizophrenic medium. Like
Yeah.
if you could try to have like a controlled situation, that would be fascinating.
Yeah,
It would be.
it would be. Yeah. So, I don't know, energy vampires, are they real? Do they have an attachment? Or are they on drugs? Or are they just extreme narcissists who are
Yeah, are they
utilizing
just assholes?
Yeah, the assholes using everybody and everything to their advantage. I think we've all met them. So,
Yeah.
I don't know, good topic. If you've met one, let me know. I just think it's, I don't want names, but, I mean, what happened? What happened? Are you one? Have you been one and you changed? If you did change, that would be fascinating
That would be
to know
cool.
too. Like, how did you recognize it, and how did you change it so that you weren't hurting the people in your life? Because that's a big part of growing up. I think almost every teenager is a energy vampire, psychic vampire
At
for a
some
while.
point, yeah.
Yeah, and then they kind of grow out of that, and they go, "Oh God, man, was I an asshole?" I'm hoping that most of them grow out of that.
Well, if you just want an energy vampire, there's one in my driveway right now.
Yeah. So, who will probably, hopefully, not listen to this. But anyway.
Ain't no way.
Well, this was a good topic. Thanks for hanging in with us on this topic of energy and psychic vampires, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Speaking of spirits, signing off. Too much wine.
Yay!
Woo!
You've been listening to Speaking of Spirits, powered by Pocatello Paranormal Research in Pocatello, Idaho. Thank you for joining us today. We're glad you could be here. If you're enjoying the podcast, please do us a favor and go to whatever platform you are listening to the podcast on and give us a review. We prefer the 5-star reviews. This helps us know how we're doing, and it helps others to find the podcast. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you on our next podcast.
Energy vampires, psychic vampires, narcissists. These are all people that we've met and interacted with. Sometimes they're part of our family. Is it a mental health issue? Is there a paranormal issue? Listen in and find out.